And we're back. This is Hook and Ladder. This is the semifinal weekend recap and some decent games.
Yeah, there were some good games. I like the fact that it was a Thursday night and a Friday night. I wouldn't have minded having a Saturday game, but I enjoyed the fact that at least one of them was on a Friday night. I really like Friday night games, like Thursday night games, but yeah, they were good games.
They're competitive. Every team had a chance there at the end, and you got two that are advancing to the national title game. Let's get started. Notre Dame knocked off Penn State 27-24. Notre Dame, they got some fight to them, don't they?
They do. You know, really impressed with Notre Dame in this game. The announcer wasn't. I don't know if you caught that. They kept mentioning how basically like Georgia gave Notre Dame the game. They even said one time Notre Dame's offense only was able to get 7 points on their own. I don't know what the issue there was. It was Greg McElroy and the other guy. It was I forgot his name. The other guy was the one. He was kind of crapping on him. It was kind of like he was trying to prop up the SEC, I think. But this game was really good at the end. It was kind of a snoozer first half. Penn State, second quarter, when they started making hay, that offensive line was moving them. They were able to do offensively pretty much what they wanted. But every time they got down, scoring territory, red zone, the danger zone, as I like to say, because I call it the 30. And then Notre Dame stepped up.
Yeah.
And there was a easy touchdown pass that was dropped that they could have went up 7-0. Instead it was 7-3. They were in hand. Even the third quarter, when it basically Notre Dame came back and tied it up at 10, I thought Penn State was playing better. And then all of a sudden, Notre Dame just put the foot on the gas. And they looked good. They were able to move the football a hell of a lot better than they did against Georgia. And Penn State, for all of their... I've been dogging on them for years, man. I still don't think they're the sixth best team in the country. But they deserve to be there. They played well. I think it's really unfortunate that it came down to Drew Aller. He threw for 135 yards. A wide out didn't make a reception for Penn State. That's a problem. That's been my issue with them for so long. They don't have anybody out wide that can scare you. That's why they never can compete with Ohio State. They don't have enough playmakers. Your tight end and your running backs can only do so much. I think Aller's the best QB they've had at throwing the football in a while. He threw 3 passes in this game. One of them was an interception. The other 2 should have been. I mean, they were just floating them up to guys. And one was an interception, one should have been, and the other one was picked, but they called it back for pass interference. But he looked really pedestrian throwing the football. He ran it pretty well. Their running backs ran it. Tight end's good. Yeah. Tight end's the best guy they've got on the field. But when it came down to it, they had the football late with a chance to drive down and kick a winning field goal. Instead, he throws an interception. Game over.
Yep.
So, I mean, a good game. I mean, Riley Leonard played great. Went for, what do you do there? 223 and a touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, he didn't play great. Yeah. What do you run the football for?
18-35.
I mean, and a TD, and then Jeremiah Love went for 11-45. I mean, Penn State stopped him running the football. In this game, it was much. They looked better than they did against Georgia, but it was kind of reminded me of that game against Georgia. Notre Dame's offense really couldn't do a whole lot. And then they had a spurt where they had 2 consecutive quick drives for scores,
Fourth quarter hit, and I guess the defense is finally got tired.
The defense is pretty decent. Penn State, their defense was all over them, and then all of a sudden, they just couldn't make a play at the end. Good game, though. That was probably between that one and the 2 Texas games, actually all 3 Texas games, that Penn State Notre Dame was the best one.
Yeah, for sure. Moving right along, Ohio State knocked off Texas in the Cotton Bowl. 28-14. It was 14-all going into the fourth quarter, and then...
Yeah, I mean, early on, it looks like Ohio State was going to get it. I mean, that first drive, they could do no wrong. Second drive, they came in. There was a critical penalty. It was, what's his face? Trayvon. Was it the second drive? Trayvon Henderson did smack the guy and it dropped back. They ended up having to punt. Yeah. But, again, Ohio State's defense making a good offensive team look bad. I mean, Texas can score. Yeah. Texas has been weird, though, right? So they played Georgia. Couldn't run the football at all. And from that moment on, they struggled. So they ran really, really well against Texas A&M. They ran out of this world against Clemson in the first round of the playoffs. Couldn't really run the ball at all against Arizona State. Yeah. And then the SEC championship game, couldn't run the football at all against Georgia. And they ran decent enough to win against Ohio State. They threw the football decent enough to win. Look, Ewers, 283, 2 touchdowns, interception, was kind of a late, not really a big deal. Will Howard went for 289 with a touchdown and a pick. I thought he threw 2 picks. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyhow, the picks were, I thought one of them was going to be critical.
Yeah.
But I thought both QBs played well. Both teams played well. I thought Texas's defense played a little bit better, stopping Ohio State from running the football. They got the touchdown there right at the end of the half with the screen. And the dude just housed it. That dude's fast as hell.
Well, so you're 21-14. You're sitting there, first and goal. And they could not do it. They couldn't come up with anything.
They moved the football down the field to get there, even with the personal foul by the tight end when he taunted the guy. He threw Caleb Downs to the ground and pointed at him. I thought that was so Bush League. Yes, that's taunting. I have a problem with certain penalties being called, especially in playoffs.
Right.
But they get down there, first and goal from the 1, and Herb Street mentioned Ohio State's extremely difficult to run on in that close. They get stuffed on first and goal. I'm thinking you do the same thing the next 2 downs, or you maybe throw it on second and run it on third and fourth. No. You got 3 downs to do it. You got to tie it. Maybe bring Arch in, do something a little different. The toss out. You're just inviting an athletic defense like Ohio State to blow that up, and they did. Caleb Downs, the superstar of the freaking team, went right past Kelvin Banks, and didn't make the tackle, but he pushed the guy enough to the boundary, and the other guys came in and cleaned it up. But Sark, a great offensive mind,
just got bogged down.
I think he was in his head. I really do. I don't think he was calling the smart plays. I think he was in his head. He was trying to get creative and cute when it's just line your dudes up and push that shit in.
How many times have you seen that over the years? Not necessarily start, but just these offense coordinators, they're in a situation to go up and they kill themselves. Yep. They run 4 plays back to back and the bogs dry down, lose the game.
A lot of people were on Twitter. A lot of people had something to say about being in the shotgun. And I've heard that a lot. I've heard that from not only fans, as announcers over the years. You get in close. You're taking the snap 6 to 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You're handing it off. Center. Get under center. It's easier to kind of, get in there. And I agree. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. I don't think that's going to cause it where you're not going to get in.
Right.
But that was terrible. And then, of course, the fumble on 4th down, scoop and score by Sawyer. Dude's, I was like, that dude ain't making it to the end zone.
And all of a sudden, he just threw another gear.
He did. Kudos to Ohio State. They played well. I thought Texas played well enough to win until that first and goal. It was first and goal. They threw it.
Yeah.
They committed pass interference. So first and goal again from the 1. You got to punch it in there. It's the playoffs. You're going to the national championship game. I thought Sark really, really screwed the pooch there and cost his team. Ewers isn't the most mobile guy. Throw in Arch if you have to. Arch can throw it too. I don't know. I think Ewers is in there for a reason. It's a part of that Nick Saban kind of deal where there might be a better talented guy as a second string QB.
But he manages the game.
But the guy manages the game and doesn't kill you. But the problem is, Nick Saban will always say, well, this guy didn't turn the ball over and he didn't put us in bad positions. Quinn Ewers in the biggest games of the season was throwing interceptions to people. All right, 2 games against Georgia, 4 picks and 2 fumbles. Yep. And then in the playoff games against Arizona State, he threw a pick. This game, he threw a pick. The dude's not taking care of the football in the biggest moments, but they still had the chance to win.
Isaiah Bond drops a big catch.
Oh, yeah, God.
What happened to him?
He turned out to be the 3rd best wide receiver on that team. But this game was always going to be, I thought the winner of this game was going to win the title. I thought Thursday night's game was just, the consolation, who gets to play for second place. But a great game, It's what you want it to come down to, a first and goal, they stop them on 4 downs and win the game. Then the interception came after that, which didn't really matter.
I had some Notre Dame fans that I'm in a group a chat with, and they were talking about how, I guess we're going to be playing Ohio State. I guess we're going to lose the game.
And they're starting left tackles now out for the game.
It's like you're in the championship game. You got a puncher's chance.
Yep.
Ohio State didn't bring their A game, or maybe Texas was good enough to stop them.
Texas played their best game in a while.
Yeah.
I thought that they played a couple of weak games at the end of the year. Obviously they lost to Georgia. Mm-hmm. The very next game, they didn't play a great game against Vanderbilt. They played good against Florida until the second half. They didn't play very well. Yeah. I thought the playoffs, they had some moments offensively against Clemson, and then they let Clemson kind of hang around. Yeah. Arizona State, they were up big, and then they let Arizona State come back. So they haven't played a great game, a clean game. I thought they played pretty good. The offense, they moved the ball. They ended up getting bogged down. Yeah. I thought, what they would kind of get into Ohio State territory and then get bogged down. Like they'd move it from like their own 25 or 30 to like the Ohio State 40 and then get bogged down. And that's just a credit to Ohio State's defense. They're really good as well. I kind of saw this going to be a close game. And it was. Obviously, the touchdown, the scoop and score, it kind of made it a little bit. I kind of thought it was going to be like, 27-24, 27-23 kind of deal.
We're sitting there first and goal with like 3:30 to go in the game, and you're just like, Texas obviously is about to score here.
Yeah, and I'm thinking at that point, too, like they're going to score, and there's going to be 2 and change, or there's going to be like 2 minutes or something like that. Maybe a little under, depending on what down they were able to punch it in. But you got a little bit of time for Ohio State with those weapons, those wide outs, and then Trevion Henderson in the passing game. Yeah. Well, get them into field goal position to kick a game-winning field goal.
Had they scored there, even if they just kicked a field goal there, they're putting the pressure back on Ohio State to get a first down and get the ball back. And I think they still had 2 timeouts remaining when they were first and goal. Mm-hmm. And just a bad series of play calls there at the end. It cost them the game. Yep. They kept wanting to go to the left side there. And I'm like, why do y'all keep going over there? You got a shorter field. They're running you down. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, fumble, run it back for a score, and that's ball game.
The 2 defenses were the story of the game, in my opinion. I mean, other than Carnell Tate had a nice game. Other than the long touchdown reception, neither one of the running backs for Ohio State really was great. Mm-hmm. Will Howard was pretty good. He had the 1 rush, which they're like, they tricked him. Like everybody in the world knew Will Howard was running that on 4th down. But I thought both defenses played really, really well. It's kind of like one team's going to have to lose, unfortunately. It was a good game. I enjoyed this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see.
But before we get into the next one, though, all right, before we get into Notre Dame, Ohio State, I got a bone to pick with Ohio State fans. And as you know, that we're friends with a lot of them. I'm friends with the Metallica thing. Mm-hmm. I'm friends with a lot of them that way as well. Nick Saban called them out and said they were like crazy or whatever. And I'm seeing some stuff that some of my friends are posting on social media, and they do bitch. Like they are super, super whiny. I'm not trying to dog on them, but they're whiny. The Michigan thing irritates the crap out of me. Yes. Arguably the biggest rivalry in the entire sport, right? Arguably. You're about to win a national title. Who gives a shit that you lost to Michigan? So they're really going to get upset because some Michigan fan in the comments can be like, yeah, you won the title, but you couldn't beat us. Like, who gives a shit? The point is to win a national title every year. That's what Ohio State's goals are. Beating Michigan, yes, is part of that. But they're ready to fire Ryan Day. They're ready to say the season's a bust. They lost 2 games and one of them was to Michigan. You're going to win the national championship next month. A week from tomorrow, you're going to win the national championship. Oh, I don't think Notre Dame has a chance.
I didn't think Michigan
had a chance. Yeah, exactly. That's why they play the game. All right, that's why they play the game. Yes. But I'm picking Ohio State, and I'm picking them to win big. Like, I'm thinking the backups, like the second and third string dudes in the second half are going to get a lot of playing time in the national championship game. But I have a problem with the way Ohio State fans are acting. And they're irrational. They think they thought the season was over because they lost to Michigan, but everybody knew they were in the playoffs. So what? You didn't win a conference championship. Well, Georgia won a national title without winning a conference championship. So Alabama's done it 2 or 3 times. All right? A lot of teams are going to do this in this 12-team format.
Right.
They're not going to win a conference championship. They're going to national. If Notre Dame wins, they didn't get a conference championship, and I'm going to get to talk about them in a minute after we preview this game. But I just kind of like, dude, shut your mouth. Quit whining. You're one of the best teams in the country. You want to fire Ryan Day. Who are you going to get that's better? You're going to promote somebody? You're going to bring back Urban Meyer? Doubtful. Ryan Day is, I don't think he's the world's best coach, but he's an elite level coach. They've got the NIL. They've got the recruiting prowess. You're going to be in the mix. Holy shit, $1,500 for a ticket to that game?
Yes.
It's in Atlanta. We could probably go. You're in the mix every year, dude. Quit bitching about freaking Michigan, okay? Michigan's sitting at home, and they're hanging their hat on the fact that they beat an Alabama team that really wasn't any interested in being there, and an Alabama team whose quarterback can't figure out to put his feet in the same position if they're running or passing. You're going to win the title, dude. It's freaking gravy. I don't know why you're complaining. Stop being, God, the whining I'm seeing online from these people is ridiculous. All right, let's talk about the game.
Moving right along to the national championship game in Atlanta on January 20th. If you're a federal, state, or a local government employee, you get that Monday off. So,
you do?
Yeah, so it's an MLK Day.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah, so. But anyway, the 13-2 Ohio State Buckeyes will play Notre Dame in Atlanta, and the spread is right now by negative 9.5 points. A 10-point spread for Ohio State to win this game.
It seems about right because I've thought Notre Dame was going to get blown out a couple of times, and they're a solid football team. They're a senior-laden football team. And we'll talk about that in a minute when we're done, too. I want to bring something else up. But they're a good, solid football team. Yeah. Riley Leonard's difficult to defend. He's not the world's best passer, but he does enough. They've got a couple of good tight ends in the passing game. The backs can make hay in the passing game. The wideouts aren't going to go deep. They're going to get open and find soft spot in the zones and on crossing routes, and they're going to catch like 8-9 yard passes, turn it into like an 11-yard gain. That's what they're going to do. They're a good team. Riley Leonard's tough to stop running the football. But I think Ohio State's just so much better at defense. I think Ohio State should be able to run the football. They're not going to have to lean on the pass. And then, bam, they're going to throw it to Jeremiah Smith over the top, and it's going to get ugly quick.
Well, so 8.5 is the spread. It opened at 9.5.
Yeah.
So 9 points, two scores.
It seems right. I mean, I would say it should be maybe 14, 13.5 maybe, but the way Notre Dame's kind of been proving people wrong and just being a tough football team to beat, the 9.5 seems right to me.
You got 45.5 for the over-under here. I'm thinking under here, man.
Notre Dame took a beating against Georgia. They had a lot of guys going down with injuries. Against they lost Riley, the leading defensive tackle, against Indiana, against Penn State. They lost their starting left tackle to a high ankle sprain. A couple of the guys got beat up. Some guys in Ohio State got beat up a little bit against Texas, but they all came back.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Ohio State being healthy and Notre Dame really not being.
Yeah.
Too healthy, what does it say, 54%?
55.4 Ohio State, 44.6 Notre Dame.
It's a little low to me, but, we'll see what happens.
There's a lot of people thinking Ohio State might actually lay an egg here. If they play their A game, Notre Dame's not beating them. We know that. We know that Ohio State's clearly better than Notre Dame.
Yes, and Notre Dame would have to play their A game, and Ohio State would probably have to play like a C game.
Yeah. Well,
but, I said at the beginning of the playoffs, Ohio State is known. They have, Ohio State fans, if they're probably not watching this, but they're kind of known for having trouble against ranked teams, okay? Right. You're playing 4 in a row to win the title. And they decided to play their best football in the playoffs, which is why I think they're head and shoulders above anybody else. Yeah. I thought Texas was the only team that could really handle them because just athletically and the recruiting rankings, the blue chip ratio, Texas was there. Right. I think Georgia would have been there. Offensively, Georgia's just been off, but the blue chip ratio, especially on defense, they would have been able to play them pretty good. But I thought Texas would have been the most difficult task for them. I thought Tennessee could have given them a little bit more of a fight offensively, but Tennessee just couldn't get it going. That first drive, Nico, during the headlights look, it was over. I think, but offensively, Tennessee should have been able to give them a little bit more trouble. I don't think they're going to lay an egg, but that's a good point. 4 games in a row of playing tough teams.
Yeah. You don't know. I mean, you might see Notre Dame come out guns blazing I mean, who's the better coach here?
Oh, I think it's Marcus Freeman. He's a better coach.
Yes. Rumor has it the Bears are wanting to talk to him.
Yeah, they want to talk to him. And Ryan Day, we haven't heard any rumors about him, but I think Ryan Day is kind of like, he'll leave when he wants to. I think he'll probably maybe be an offensive coordinator in the NFL. Maybe. I still think Ryan Day is home.
Yeah.
Permanent homes in college.
Yeah.
But he might get sick of the horse shit he's got to deal with and go to the NFL. But, the money and the recruiting, and we'll get to that money, another thing I'm going to bring up in a minute, but we'll get the money and the recruiting is on Ohio State. They've got the better players. Marcus Freeman's a better coach. I don't think Notre Dame is going to lay down by any stretch of imagination. I just think eventually it's going to be too much for them.
Yeah.
So I'm predicting, I'm going to say Ohio State 31, Notre Dame 20. 31-20. Which covers the spread.
Yeah. I would say 24-17, Ohio State.
And when Ohio State wins, Ryan Day will be there for the next 5-6 years for the foreseeable future. He maybe win another one before he moves on.
Yeah, we'll see.
But if I don't know. If they win a national title this year and lose to Michigan next year, they're going to be calling for his job. That's all they care about.
Beat Michigan. You got to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've had their number for a while.
I get it. I want to be our biggest rival all the time. But if we lose, I don't know, we got a couple rivalries. If we lose all of them, so you lose the two biggest rivalries you have. You go 10-2, but you make it through the playoffs. You win the national championship. I don't care. Those rivals can talk all the while. Oh, you couldn't beat us. Well, you know what? No, but we won the Natty.
And that's all that really matters.
This is transfer portal.
This is rivals. They've got
Is it even updated?
Well, that's the thing. You'll have Beck floating across the screen here in a minute.
All right. Well, before we get into this, and while waiting after that to load, the whole money thing. I was talking about the money being at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. So it was brought up this week that with the conference payouts, you get to make the semis, you get $20 million, and you divide it up to your conference. So the SEC and the Big Ten, that's less than $1 million a team, really. The way it kind of breaks down. Notre Dame gets to keep all of that. And I saw the video online. I don't know, didn't look too much into it. But if that's the case, I don't know why the other conferences aren't flipping out about this.
I'm sure they are.
If you've got to take your conference pot to make, and then again make the national championship game. If you got to take your conference pot and split it, you're Ohio State. You got to split like Northwestern, in Wisconsin.
Michigan gets some of your money.
Michigan gets it, but Notre Dame gets to keep all of it, and they can just put that into NIL. And granted, Notre Dame's got an admissions thing, you got to get in. And they're not always in the top 10, and they're top 10, top 12 in recruiting. They do well, but like I said, it's a senior-laden team. Same thing with Penn State. A lot of the teams that made the playoffs this year are senior-laden teams. They get their guys to not jump into the portal. Mm-hmm. No one's really tampering, or if they are tampering, trying to get your guy to jump ship to go somewhere else. They're paying them. They're keeping them there. These senior-laden teams. You got Notre Dame. Penn State, Arizona State, these senior-laden teams in the playoffs. Tennessee is one defensively. These teams get their guys to buy in and stick around. That's the kind of team Notre Dame is. If they can rely more on NIL, that would really help them out. They should, the guy's video is that Notre Dame should rule this era of the college football playoff. But dude, if I'm the other conferences, I'm flipping the hell out. We got to divvy this thing up between 16 teams, 14 teams, whatever.
Well, you think
a little over million.
Notre Dame's going to go 10-2 just about every year.
Yeah, and they make their own schedule.
Yeah.
So they can basically say, all right, you know what? We might not have the best team, so let's make this. Dude. If I'm other conferences, I'm flipping out about that.
They want to join a conference.
Yeah,
they're plain and simple.
So transfer portal.
Yeah. So this is the most up to date rival stuff. They've been you click on different sites, you'll see Beck going to Miami and different. You click on the Georgia page, you'll see him transferring and a big question mark there.
Yeah.
But it's a weird, strange game in this transfer portal deal. Right?
Yeah, Singleton is playing the game. These wide receivers, in my opinion, are the main guys I like to talk about. Everyone talks about quarterbacks. You have Beck, Carson Beck. Says going to NFL. Mm-hmm. We all know the season he had, and then the injury. He got some information. He was like, I guess I'm not going as high as I am. And then the thing that came out, take Will Levis's contract. So the long and short of it is he's not going to go to the NFL where he wants to go in the NFL draft-wise. So he takes $4 million. He made $4 million at Georgia last year. He's taking $4 million in NIL. He's going to Miami. Mm-hmm. All right? Easy conference. He should put up big numbers there.
Assuming he's healthy.
He won't be able to throw the football until like June or July. Yeah. But, assuming he's healthy, he'll be able to put up some pretty good numbers. They've got a decent team. I don't think, they're going to do anything playoff-wise, but he'll put up some numbers. He'll look like a good QB, and he's from Florida, and his girlfriend is there. She's the TikTok star, the Cavender girl. They're twins. I don't know which one it is. She's hot. I saw the little whatever video they posted.
With the U?
Yeah, dude, she's a smoke show. Good for him. Yeah. Carson, you got $4 million and that.
Yeah.
Good for you, buddy. Yeah. Go to Miami. I think it was there was a lot of stuff I was reading online. It was basically kind of like I don't think Georgia really was like, oh no, please don't go to Miami.
Okay. Okay. To his defense, it's like he's getting $4 million. He's got his girl down there. He wasn't going to get drafted high. He's not going to make that money in NFL. It might take several years for him to maintain that.
I don't see why you wouldn't take that deal.
Take the money. Take the money and run. They're going to give you another year eligibility.
Yeah, take the money, put up big numbers, and then show the NFL, it was kind of an anomaly last year. I think he's a good quarterback. I thought 2023, when he had, as we've seen in the NFL, 2 freaking all-pros, thrown to them.
He made it look easy.
Yep. 3 guys that are now in the NFL were on that team. Dudes he was throwing the football to were in the NFL. 2 veteran running backs. Both those guys are in the NFL. Better offensive line. Much better offensive line.
In big games, he showed up last year.
He did.
Should have been this year. I think the problem this year, he was pressing. He was trying to overachieve. Yeah. And he's got... Georgia, had he stayed, Georgia would have 4 quarterbacks on roster that would probably start anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And he didn't. I don't think he played bad this year. He led the SEC in touchdown passes. His team also led the nation in drops. And somebody put a graph out. His 2023 completion percentages versus 2024. If you add in the drops, the completion percentage is basically the same. So I thought he was a good quarterback. Yeah.
I think thought he pressed a lot mid-season. That's why I think there was a lot of slow starts. I think he was trying to do too much. Yep. Mm-hmm. I think in times go by when emotions get out of it, people say, you know what? Carson Beck was one of the better quarterbacks Georgia ever had.
Yeah, I agree. But I think
the hate that he's getting is undeserved.
Yeah, and then Georgia fans, a lot of them were happy to see him go. Some of them, understand. He was a good quarterback. He did well for the Dogs. I think mutually they both, the coaching staff and him, were ready to kind of go their separate ways, But yeah, he's the number 1 player in the portal at this very moment. Mm-hmm. He's going to Miami.
Yeah, and good for him.
I mean, a lot of these, but we talked about the wide receivers. A lot of these wideouts were just the money that I'm hearing, Singleton going to Auburn, the money that he's getting. Dane Key wanted to go to Georgia. Mm-hmm. And then Nebraska dropped a bag, and when it came out how much that was, like, golly, this dude's not like
he's got a quarterback.
Evan Stewart, This is Dane Key, but he's got a good quarterback throwing him. Yeah. They're getting bags, and a lot of these other guys like Zachariah Branch and his brother Zion Branch, the 2 guys from USC going to Georgia, package deal. Obviously, Zachariah was the superstar. So what is the NIL offer there? I mean, if you look at some of these teams you can kind of see, these are contenders. Yeah. You got Deuce Robinson going to Florida State. Florida State is trying to get back in again with the portal like they did 2 years ago, and it backfired on them. But, there's a lot of good players. Alabama lost a lot of good guys. Yeah. Michigan is making hay in the portal. Auburn's making hay. LSU, Nebraska. A&M's making hay in the portal.
And it's all these skill position guys on the outside. It's not the D lineman or offensive lineman. A lot of those guys, they stick around, they get developed. It takes time for those guys. The guys on the outside are difference makers right away. Yeah. And they're in the smaller schools.
Last year, you had a lot of good defensive linemen go in the portal, and most of them ended up at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. This year, you don't see too many elite defensive linemen in the portal.
Yeah. I mean, you get an offensive line for Cal Polytechnic's going to Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, that, and then you got the interconference stuff, to Florida, to LSU. I don't know if I wouldn't like that too much if I was a head coach. You're like, oh, we're going to my rival. But that's been going on a couple of years now. But it's just the transfer portal in general is just evening the playing field.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with the portal. I've got a problem with the NIL and the tampering, where it's like early November, and you still got 4 to 5 games left plus postseason play, and someone's like, I'm not really happy with my playing time, and then their parents or their agent starts to kind of shop them around while the season's going on. You start hearing these rumors. If you're watching this video this far into it, thank you. But if you're if you're subscribed to any of those message boards like Rivals or On3, pay attention to people that say, oh, there's a rumor that so and so might be transferring. I mean, there was rumors that Beck was transferring to Miami like months ago, and everyone kind of like laughed at that guy, and here we are, But just pay attention if you start hearing rumors that one of your guys not happy, is maybe looking around. Like that dude, I don't think he ended up going. He put his name in the portal, the freshman for Tennessee, wide receiver, and then he took it out. But there was rumors that guy was going in the portal like in October, and then lo and behold, he did. Squirrel White, same thing. Where's he going?
Right.
He's going to Florida State. There was rumors that guy was going in the portal. They weren't happy with the way the offense was running. The rumor is he's going in the portal, and everyone laughs and says, you're an idiot for posting that. Sure enough, they're in the portal.
I agree with these guys getting paid, and I think they should be. And if people are willing to pay you, you should take the money. However, when you're a freshman or sophomore and you're getting developed in these programs, it would probably be to your benefit to stick around to that junior year to just see what things shake out. I mean, some of these guys are getting significant playing time, and they're jumping ship. It's like, no, stick it out. But your junior year comes around and it's just not happening. Your quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback controversy. Your head coach is in turmoil. Then bounce. Don't just go a year or two and just go somewhere to get paid. You're getting paid anyway.
The Tennessee surprises me because Nico's coming back. He'll be a junior next year. These wideouts bailing on Tennessee, that to me that's a red flag. A lot of guys going to Florida State. We saw how that worked out for them 2 years ago in 2023 when they don't make the playoffs and all of them bounce and they get smoked in record-breaking fashion in the bowl game by Georgia, and none of those dudes opted out of the game. They wanted to finish season strong. You kind of get that hired gun kind of mentality with it. Just, all right, season's over. We're not in the playoffs. We're done,
Where's Barry Alexander? I didn't see any of him.
He went to Oregon.
Okay.
Which everybody thought was going to go to Penn State.
Well, he's about to sit out here, isn't
he?
Yeah, Unless he's graduated.
No, he'll be a senior.
Yeah, okay, so...
Yeah, he came in that class with Michael Williams.
But this is
and
his
those guys.
second time.
This is his third team.
Yeah, second transfer. I guess if you've already graduated, you can play. Unless I don't know if he's a mastermind or
I don't know. He played freshman year at Georgia, then went and played 1 year at USC. Left after the second or third game this year. Has been sitting at home since. So he's transferred again. I don't have a problem with the portal. I'm not a big fan of them paying the guys, but I'm not against it.
Yeah.
What I am against is kind of like what you said, like the freshmen and sophomores going in for no reason without, trusting the coaching staff and getting developed.
Yeah.
And then the guys, I'm not happy with playing time, so let's have my dad or an agent talk to some of the team in mid-October, But, like I was mentioning the Florida State thing too. You see a lot of these guys in the portal, it doesn't make hay for them. Mm-hmm. Some of them do. I mean, like guys like Jackson Meeks left. He went 1,000 yards at Syracuse. Jermaine Johnson, first-round pick out of Florida State. It works for some guys, but you scrolling down this list, dude, there's going to be a lot of these guys who leave a good program.
Like you're leaving Florida State to go play at Florida International.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And it's not even that when it's guys like, but it's like dudes taking the money to go from a really good program, proven program, to go.
Yeah.
To go to another school like that. Not a bad school, but you're not going to get the exposure.
Yeah.
play at a school like Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, get those practices in, that practice film against some of the best in the game, and instead you want to take the money and then go to like Florida State.
Well, this kid here, he's going to Notre Dame, he's going to go to James Madison.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Unless there's some other, he's 315 in the transfer portal.
Yeah, but if you look at the guys up at the top of the portal, and you look at some of the places that they're leaving, like Justice Haynes, he's leaving Alabama to go play for Michigan. He's a running back, so that works. That makes sense. Yeah. But you see some of these other guys, like, what was that guy? Jamal Jarrett left Georgia to go to USC. That's not going to make...
That's all the money.
Yeah, it's taking the money. I mean, you're going to leave a proven program to go to USC, who's linking around. It's probably not going to be there much longer. Mm-hmm. And I think they're just taking the money. Same thing with that was a guy, Barry and Brown, leaving Kentucky to go to LSU.
Again, we don't know people's living situations.
You don't, but I think sometimes they're chasing the money, and eventually it's not the best idea for them.
No. Like, okay.
Like, look at Williams Nunwari, all right? One of the best players. He was a freshman this year. Leaving Missouri. Now, to go to Nebraska now. Is Missouri a better situation, development than Nebraska? I don't know. But why not at least play one more year? You're probably going to get paid anyway. So Nebraska's notorious for this. Nebraska goes into the SEC and tries to pluck guys. Mm-hmm. And the way Nebraska does it is they try to get guys, like I was talking about, in October or whatever. They want guys, all right, let's try to, this guy's having a good season, or this guy's not getting playing time. Let's get him because he didn't choose our school. Mm-hmm. We weren't really in the running in his recruitment, but we're going to offer him a bunch of money. That's the only way schools like Nebraska, and there's a few other ones, can compete, is to try to get these guys from better programs.
But they have the donors, and they can go out and do that.
They do. But I can guarantee you some of these guys aren't going to be as successful as if they had stayed at the program.
I absolutely agree with you.
You're a backup who's not getting any playing time other than special teams, sure.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy that is projected to be a starter and projected to be one of the better players on the team, and you leave and go to a school like Nebraska or Florida State or even Missouri, there's a guy right now that could have been one of the best players in the SEC who's probably going to end up going to Missouri because he's chasing money. And NFL scouts see the dudes you're going up against in practice at Missouri are a hell of a lot more, or a hell of a lot different than the guys you were going up against in practice on another team.
It just is what it is.
And I know that for a fact because I used to be related to an NFL head coach's kid. I guess I'm still unrelated. Is that maybe? I don't know.
Don't worry about it. It gets awfully confusing.
It does.
All right. Well, I guess that concludes this week's episode. A lot to discuss, a lot to talk about, and we'll do it again after the championship game next week.
I'm looking forward to that one. End of the season, capping it off. Second year in a row, an SEC team has not been in the finals, and a lot of people are happy about that. I could care less.
Yeah. The winds of change are afoot.
Yeah.
You guys have a good day.
See ya.
Bye.